Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending a little time with me today. Always appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about Mike Iaconelli's YouTube video he did last week with Kevin Vandam, and Kevin made the comment that something needs to be done about the entire forward-facing sonar situation. I thought this was a profound statement from the greatest bass angler in the history of the sport. So we're going to discuss the podcast a little bit in today's video and talk about what Mike and Kevin said on that. Also, guys, a quick reminder about the Father's Day sale on my Solar Bat Series RB2 and RB3 series sunglasses. You guys would like to get a pair for the Father's Day, they got them at 25% off, along with anything else on the Solar Bat website, including prescription sunglasses, 25% off. I'll link the description, or link the Solar Bat link in the description of this video if you guys want to check that out. So much appreciated. Excuse me. Okay, guys, I don't know if you saw it. I will link it in the video, but Mike Iaconelli had Kevin on his podcast last week, and they were discussing a variety of topics in the sport, from Kevin's retirement up to all of his foundations, conservation efforts, what his plans are for the future, his television show, and the topic inevitably of forward-facing sonar came up. And Kevin he's always been a big proponent of technology. He even made the comment that he's not a hypocrite on this, because he's been the beneficiary of some of the predecessor technology to forward-facing sonar, down imaging, the advancements in mapping, side imaging, and that type of stuff. But anyway, Kevin was basically making the point in the video that, and I've made this point, guys, for the last 2 years, that forward-facing sonar is a different animal. And he made the comment, which everybody needs to take heed of this, coming from one of the most, well, the greatest bass angler in the history of sport, who also is a friend of technology. He said something needs to be done about the entire forward-facing sonar situation, because it has completely changed the game to the point where it's not positive to the sport. And Kevin used the same analogies that I always use about every other sport out there has got equipment limitations. Golf, NASCAR, and bass fishing is the only sport that doesn't do that. And we have seen they brought it up in the podcast, we've seen a loss in the diversity of fishing tactics, and which have always been like the trademark of professional bass angling, to where now it's basically just, turn on your spotlight or teeter box there, and throw your forward-facing sonar minnow out, and that is all people do. That's all it's done. And you could tell from watching the video, it's like you could tell they were careful about it, because both of them are, Kevin and Mike both, they are true professionals in the sport, and they tend to be a little bit more balanced as far as their viewpoints and their emotions on things, a lot more than I am. So I could tell he was treading carefully on the entire topic, but he made it very clear that forward-facing sonar is something something's got to be done as far as the rule changes. And both Mike and Kevin said, or Mike said, that he expects rule changes to be in place with this, something we've talked about for a long time. And one of the things I want to say, I am so happy to see marquee anglers like Vandam acknowledging the fact that this is a problem. I've been talking about it, like I said, for 2 years, and we're seeing more and more tour level, marquee level, top level pros like Kevin coming out and voicing their concern over this situation in a very measured way. And congratulations to every one of them that have done that, and shame on every one of the pros out there that refuse to acknowledge the reality of the situation and defend spotlighting and don't stand up against this. Shame on you guys. So anyway, here is what is going to happen on this thing, because once you have somebody like Kevin Vandam, who's got the biggest platform in the sport, that Kevin Vandam is the voice of professional fishing. I've been around Kevin forever. I was on pro staffs with him. I've been in pro staffs meetings with him. The guy's a true leader in every sense of the word. And when you have somebody like that voicing, even, like I said, a measured concern on this, something is going to get done about it. Now, the problem that I am concerned about here is I'm extremely confident that Bassmaster is going to take some initiative next year, but I'm also extremely confident that it's going to be a half measure, because when you take the fact that everybody knows that forward-facing sonar is diminishing the sport, and even Mike even made the comment about how the split in the tours and forward-facing sonar to some extent is like making the sport feel dirty right now. It's like everybody's irritated, everybody's mad, everybody's sort of disillusioned, the viewers are mad, and it's all because of forward-facing sonar. But the problem you have here is when you have tournament organizations that are being subsidized with major dollars by the electronic companies, fighting against a bass fishing public that the majority of the public out there, including the viewers, do not want forward-facing sonar. They see themselves caught in some type of a moral dilemma between running a business and, having that business be profitable by sponsorships, and then doing the right thing for the future of the sport and their viewers, which it shouldn't be any dilemma. You should always want to do what the right thing is, which is to ban forward-facing sonar. So here's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I think that there's going to be some rule changes and some limitations on spotlighting for bass next year moving forward, simply because of the vocal opposition that we've had and we're seeing grow all the time. The problem I see with this is I highly suspect that Bassmaster, who is the leader in the sport, and they've got to set the trends and everything. I don't look to MLF to do anything in the leadership role, but I look for it to be a half measure where they have some type of limitation on screen, the length of screens you can have, or how many units you can have on the boat, or how many transducers, yet you're still going to be allowed to keep your spotlighting box up front. That doesn't do anything. I don't care. Just because some of the younger dudes and Japanese anglers have five forward-facing sonar transducers and 6 or 7 units on their boat, it doesn't change anything if they just allow them to have 1 unit on their boat and 1 live scope transducer, because it's still spotlighting for bass. Until we completely eliminate spotlighting, just say, no guys, we're not going to do it. You can have down imaging, you can have side imaging, you can have 360, you can have your GPS mapping, but you will not spotlight for bass. You will not be able to shine a transducer all the way around the boat and see bass in live imaging and throw to that bass that you can see on your screen that reacts to the lure and allow you to catch that fish from a piece of technology that you would never have known that fish was there before without that piece of technology. It is a no-brainer. Like I said, like Kevin made the comment in the video, every other sport out there has equipment limitations to maintain the integrity of the sport. Yet bass fishing has dragged their feet on this forward-facing sonar thing for 2 or 3 years now. It's even longer than that. But anyway, guys, I will link the video in the description, the interview that Mike did with Kevin on that. Well worth your time. That they didn't spend a ton of time on forward-facing sonar. They mentioned what I was talking about there, but there's a lot of other good stuff in the interview as well. Main thing is with it, guys, is when you have anglers out there like Kevin Vandam, like Hank Parker, that have voiced their concern about this is not something that's good for the sport, change is on the way. And people say, oh, Randy, give it up. Forward-facing sonar is here to stay. Get it with the times, Grandpa, or get left behind. No, that's not the way it is, guys. Forward-facing sonar is not here to stay. I'm telling you right now. We are going to look back in the future, and this forward-facing sonar era that we are in right now, we're going to look back on that, and people are going to say, what the hell were they thinking? It's like, it's going to be one of the darkest eras in professional fishing, when the tournament organizations allowed this type of technology that undermined the integrity and their tradition and the heritage and the fair chase of the sport. It's going to be a stain on the sport and an embarrassment. It already is. Like I said, if you're a forward-facing sonar advocate, you probably haven't been paying very much attention to it. I highly suggest you educate yourself on the long-term sustainability issues and the overall tradition and heritage, everything we've talked about in the sport. And I see this as a good thing, and I do look for some changes, although any change is going to be a start. I mean, we can begin it with some type of incremental change, if that's all they want to do. But what's going to happen is if they put this limitation in place where you can have one live scope and transducer, or one live scope transducer and one cheater box on the front of your boat, you're still going to have tournaments dominated by it, and it's still going to irritate the viewers, and it's still going to take away the diversity of techniques, and it's still going to you're still going to see your anglers, your traditional diverse anglers, fall by the wayside, and every single tournament is going to be won by guys you've never heard before, that's all they know how to do, and they've made that commitment to just, you know, use the cheater box 100% of the time when they're fishing. It's still going to be dominated. So until we remove it completely from the sport, nothing's going to get better. But anyway, this is a positive move in the right direction. So talk later. See you.